క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. నా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ క్లాసు ఈరోజు పైథాన్ క్లాస్లో నిన్న కొంత క్లాస్లో ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ చేశాను. నా క్లాస్ రావాలి అనుకున్నప్పుడు మీకు నాకు జూమ్ లింక్ ఇచ్చున్నాను. ఆ లింక్ మీరు మొబైల్లో మీరు జూమ్ యాప్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. ఆ, నేను ఇచ్చిన లింక్ మీద క్లిక్ చేస్తే నేరుగా నా క్లాస్లోకి వస్తారు. అక్కడ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ నేను ఎలా చేస్తున్నాను అనేది మీకు అక్కడ తెలుస్తుంటుంది. మీకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు ఏనండి, లేదు మీ పిల్లలు ఎవరైనా కానీ ఇంట్రెస్ట్గా ఉంటారు ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ సైడ్, ఎవరైనా కానీ ఇంజనీరింగ్ చదువుతున్నారు, బీసీఏ కానీ ఎంసీఏ ఇలాంటి ఎవరైనా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే వాళ్ళు క్లాస్లోకి రావచ్చు. సో ఆల్ దీస్ క్లాసెస్ దే ఆర్ బీయింగ్ కండక్టెడ్ అండర్ మై లక్ష్మీ నారాయణ కృష్ణ ఫౌండేషన్. So in today's class, I'm going to explain a project which is related with snake game. Okay. In the previous class on Friday, I have explained how to write the code for the snake game. Snake game is generally a project. It is just like one type of game application. Okay. So game application in the Friday class. Friday means today is what? Today is 31st 5 2025. So 35 2025 Friday, I have started this project snake game. Within that, I have explained how to create a game. Okay. So in that moment, I have explained somewhat code. Uh, I told you that for two-dimensional games in Python, we need to import Pygame library and some other modules like time module, random module. Now we have imported. So I have explained some code, which is what pygame.init. This init command is used to initialize the Pygame library and its modules. Okay. And to set up the screen, how much of pixels we need to set up the screen with the width and height. So 1000 pixels and 1000 pixels. It indicates that width and height of the screen. So we need to set up the screen size with the 1000 pixels. So next, this display is what display. This is what display. It is a module of Pygame. It is a module of Pygame, and set underscore mode. It is a function. Okay. So this code already I have explained in the previous classes. So now I want to go for C. అంతా మనమేమో ముందు వచ్చినాం చూడు ఎట్లా ఇంతకు 5,000 పవర్లో పెట్టి ఇంకా తోలిస్తారు వాళ్ళు. Okay. So now we will try to understand the code, which is what draw underscore snake. So draw underscore snake is a function. Okay. So why? Because it is called function, because in Python a function will be created with the def keyword. Okay. Function will be created with the def keyword. Okay. So function name, it is up to you which type of function name you want to keep. Any function name you can keep. So XYZ, your name, my name, any name you can keep as a function name. Okay. But problem is what suppose if you want to keep a name for any function, then after colon is very compulsory. Colon is very compulsory. So in Python, def keyword will be used to create function. Okay. And colon is very compulsory. Here, block underscore size, snake underscore list. These two are passed as parameters. Okay. These two passed as parameters. So now try to understand what is this what does this function, how does it function, how does it work? Okay, draw underscore function. So this function, what it does, it is used to draw the snake. Okay, it is used to draw the snake. Snake, I told you, whenever I run this code, whenever I run this code, so the code will be executed. And so what happened? Why it is not being executed? Maybe any issue. Okay. So this is see what happened here. Try to understand. This is the game. So within this game, I told you that this green circle is called the snake, because while with your keyboard, up down arrow keys, by up down arrow keys, you can move the snake, and as the snake moves near to the feed, the red circle is called the feed. So as it reaches to the feed, so the feed moves to somewhere randomly, it will be kept somewhere else. Okay, so whenever the snake touches the screen, you will get a message game over. Okay, and press Q to quit or C to play again. So for this, what happened? Try to understand the function. Every function we need to understand every function. So in Python, the function, this message function in the previous class I have explained, and draw underscore snake. This function name, you can keep any name. You can keep any name, means see, if you want to keep your name, my name Vasu, you can keep, there's no any problem. But whenever a function name is being kept, so a suitable function name, that is very important. Is suitable important. So a suitable. Why draw underscore snake? Because by this function, snake will be drawn on the screen. So this function draw underscore snake function is used to draw the snake on the screen. So that's why I have kept a suitable name for this function. In the previous classes, already we have studied how to create a function. Initially, def keyword is very compulsory, and then a name of a function, then brackets, these are called parentheses, then after column. Within this brackets, if you want to provide any variables as parameters, it is up to you as per your programming skills. Okay, whether if you feel that if you want to provide any variables as parameters, that is up to your requirement. So here I have provided block underscore size, snake underscore list, two variables as parameters. So this function, what is the why this function has been written here? So this function is used to draw the snake, okay, on the screen. So in this snake game, that game developed with the library Pygame. It is a two-dimensional snake game. It is not a three-dimensional snake game. Okay. So let us try to understand line by line this function. So here block underscore size. So this variable, it is provided as a parameter, the size of each square segment of the snake. So the block underscore size, this variable provided as a parameter. So it indicates what the size of each square segment. Each square segment. See what happened here. So each square segment, this is a square. So while it is moving, so every segment. So what is the block size? The block size we have mentioned 20 pixels. 20 pixels size. So this block size is a variable here. It is a variable. Snake underscore speed is a variable. So these two variables are assigned with block underscore size variable assigned this 20 value, snake underscore speed assigned with a 5 value. Now what happened, these two variables are passed as parameters. Okay, parameters for this function. So this function, what is the role of this function in this snake game? So it draws the snake. It draws the snake where it draws. So this function draws the snake on the screen. So on the screen, this function draws the squares, means draws the snake on the screen as a square. Okay, but each square segment, block size means the size of each square segment of the snake. Example here, how much? Size 20. Okay, 20 means what? Pixels. No need to write pixels here. So then after, what is this snake underscore list? So it is a, as I told you, that is a, it is a variable. Now it is passed as a parameter within the function. So what is the meaning of this? A list of positions, a list of snake positions. See here, the position of this snake that will be represented with the coordinates, because whenever you see the total area of the screen is defined as height and width as 1000, width 1000, height 1000. Okay, with width 1000, height 1000. So from here to here, width. From here top to bottom is height. From left to right, this is width. So 1000 by 1000 I have assigned for the screen size. So now the position of this snake and the position of snake is represented with the green color, and your feed is represented with the red color. So how can I say that this square is where it is placed? So simply I can say that this snake is placed at the left topmost corner. Left side topmost corner. Means left side topmost corner. Okay. So, but in coordinates, in terms of coordinates, we can say that this total area will be considered with the coordinates, x coordinates, y coordinates. Okay. So here, the snake underscore list, this snake underscore list, a list of positions. It is a list of positions of what? Snake. Okay. On the screen, snake has coordinates, position coordinates. So that is a list. Okay. So this snake underscore list, it is a parameter which will be having a list of positions, means XY coordinates, where each part of the snake is located. So how the snake is located on the screen with the help of the coordinates. Okay. Coordinates means X coordinates, Y coordinates. Next, X in snake, X in snake for this command. For is a loop. For loop mostly used to, for if we know, what how many times the loop to be, if we know how many times the loop to be navigated. Okay. How many times the loop to be rotated, how many times the loop to be continued. Okay. So that moment, if we know, for loop will be used. Okay. While loop in Python, you don't know. So how many times the loop to be rotated, how many times, if you don't know, there is uncertain condition, means you don't know. Okay. So that time, if you know certainly how many times the loop to be rotated, so for loop will be used here. So what is the meaning? What is the use of for loop? For loop, X is what? indexing variable I. Generally for I we will use, but here X used because X is what your coordinates. Okay, X coordinates, Y coordinates. So snake underscore list, as I told you that this is a list, snake underscore list. This list consisting of what? A list of positions of the XY coordinates where each part of the snake is located. So for in this for loop, X in snake underscore list. So for this command, this loop for loop, it loops through, means navigates through each part of the snake. This for loop loops through each part of the snake. Each part of the snake means, see here. So this is each part of the snake. Okay, so loop travels through each part of the snake. Okay, every segment is a square segment. Every segment is a square segment. So by this for loop, okay, without this for loop, without this for loop, so this snake, so this continuously loop travels, rotates. Okay, so that's it for loop written here. This because snake underscore list what? So snake underscore list, it is a list which will have lot of positions in the form of X coordinates, Y coordinates. By that, we can find out the location of the snake on the screen. Okay, so this snake underscore list, it is a list of positions of the XY coordinates where each part of the snake is located. Okay, understood that. Next, for this loop, this loop, what it does, this loop, for loop, it loops through each part of the snake. So each X is a pair of coordinates. Here, each X, each X is a pair of coordinates like Y position, okay, X position. Each X is a pair of coordinates like what? Like I will explain. See, see here, this is X1 underscore position, Y1 underscore position. These are what? A pair of coordinates. A pair of coordinates. Okay. X1, Y1, it is a pair of coordinates. So X here in this snake underscore list, X is a pair of coordinates like X1 underscore position, Y1 underscore position. So Pygame dot draw. Dot means what you know. So Pygame is a library. This library has so many modules. So out of them, draw is a module. Draw has a function or method. Draw has a function. Draw module may have so many classes. Okay, every module has so many classes. Pygame is a library. Library has a module. I told you that what is the difference between module and library? Library may have a lot of modules. Every module is a file with .py extension. So here draw is a module of Pygame library. So if you want to see how many how many modules are here, you can keep dot. You can keep dot operator. So how many modules? So if you want to keep simple one draw D, you will get this is. So draw. Draw is what you know, Pygame dot draw. Pygame is a library. Draw is a module of So we can access this draw module by simply keeping of dot operator. Otherwise, you can't access the draw module. Draw module is part of your Pygame library. So you can keep here, okay? Whenever you keep draw D, you will get. So now this draw module has so many functions, so many functions. One function I want to use here, rect. Rect is a function. So every module has so many classes. The classes has methods. So that methods can be accessed with the help of creating object. But here rect is a function, which is not a method. But this rect is part of your draw module. So dot operator used here, don't feel that rect is a method. It is a function of draw module. Okay, because clearly here mentioned f. If it is really a method, m will be represented here. So it is a function. You all of you know that very well. Function and method have the brackets, like they are called parentheses. Okay, so now let us try to understand what is the use of this rect function. So rect function within this within the function, if I have passed any words, this is screen. Okay, screen is a variable passed as a parameter. Green is a variable passed as a parameter, and x coordinates, y x. Okay, x coordinates, y coordinates, black underscore size. Okay, black underscore size. So black underscore size, already we have mentioned, we have defined here black underscore size is 20 pixels. Okay, now come to the point. So this command from here to here, this command, what is the meaning of this command? What it does? How it function? So generally pygame dot draw rect screen. Okay. So you can see, simply understand this. This command draws a rectangle. A rectangle means, see here here it is a rectangle. Here it is a rectangle. Feed is a rectangle. So snake is a rectangle. So pygame dot draw dot rect function. So this rect function draws a rectangle at the position of each snake segment. Where? On the screen. Screen is what? Your display. Screen is a variable. That screen already we have defined here. Screen. Where I have defined the screen. This is the screen. Screen is a variable. So display, for this code, I have already briefed this code from here to here. So Pygame is a library that has a module display. If you want to know actually display is a module, you can write a code here. What? Print bracket type bracket display. So it will explain really display is what? Whether display is what? Display is a module. You can see here name error. So display is not defined here. Okay. Display is not defined here. So we need to see this code. You copy, cut this code. You cut this code, and if you here you paste and run this code again. So you are getting what? This is a module. So clearly you are getting what? Class module. So how many, one module here and another module, how many type functions I have used here? Here type Pygame. I want to know that Pygame is what, whether it is a library or module. Okay. So time is a module. Okay. Display is a module. These two are modules. Okay. time is a module, and display is a module, and Pygame is a library. Okay. Now, so now, so display is not defined. There's no any issue. You run this code. You run this code. If you are getting your code is being executed, so name display is not defined. So you remove this code. You otherwise you keep what? Comment. You comment this. You comment this code by simply keeping your hash command. So this line of code will not be executed by your Python interpreter. Don't worry. So now it is being executed. So display that is not defined. So under this code, try to understand what is happening here. So every line of code I have briefed here, as I told you that Pygame is a library and draw is a module of this library, and rect is a function of this module, draw module. How do you know that it is a function? Simply you keep dot operator. So this rect function, f, we need this one. So whenever you click on, so you will get, so now here what happened within this somewhat variables, they have been passed as parameters. So first parameter passed, that is what? Your screen. So screen is what? Your screen. Where is that screen? You have, this is the total screen. So the total area is blocked. This is called your screen. Okay, screen is defined in the previous code. And green color. Green is what you know, that is snake color is the green. Okay, snake color is the green. If you change this color, you will not be able to see the snake. Okay, and these are what? Rectangle. Rect means rectangles. Rectangles means every square is a rectangle with the coordinates. X coordinate. Okay. Now come to the point. So we are trying to understand each and every function. So initially I have explained this message function, which is mostly used here to give a message, to display a message on the screen. Okay, whenever, if a game is over, otherwise, if any error is there, so to display that messages. Draw underscore snake, this function is used to draw the snake on the screen. Okay, loop is used here for loop. This loop is used to, this loop, for loop loops through each part of the snake. So this loop, for loop loops through each part of the snake. So X is a pair of coordinates like X1 underscore position, Y1 underscore position. So next, this code from here to here. So this will indicate that this draw is a module of Pygame library. So this module, within this module, a function is the rect function. So this rectangle function draws a rectangle block of the positions of each snake segment. Each snake segment will be drawn as a rectangle on the screen. Okay, this rect function, it draws a rectangle at the position of each snake segment. So each position of the snake segment will be identified with the coordinates. At the coordinates, XY coordinates, a block, a rectangle, it may be the green rectangle will be drawn by this rect function. It is a rectangle function. Okay. So next, Screen. Here screen used the Pygame screen where we draw the snake. This is the Pygame screen. Okay. So next green. Green is what you know. This is the color used to draw the snake. The green. This is a variable which holds the green color. The color used to draw the snake. Okay. Green because in the color RGB tuple. I told you that this is RGB tuple. So whenever I want to define the snake color as green, RGB, R means red, red 0. So red will not be displayed, green, okay, 255 maximum value. So by this value, green value will be given to the snake. So this next 0, blue is 0. So only the green color will be displayed on the screen. Understood that all colors I have defined. Black 0 0 0. So black. Okay. Total there is no any max values. So all the values are 0 0. So you will get. So if you provide 255, so to max values here, what happened? You will get the total screen as white. You will get the total screen as, see, you are looking what your total screen you are looking as white. Okay, you are looking white. If you want to move the, so but what happened here, the screen on the screen, you are not able to see the, you are not able to see the screen. You are not able to see the screen as black. So the snake movement, it is not looking well. If the screen is black, okay, if the screen is black, if the screen is black, if the screen is black, so that moment what happens? Very nice. It looks very nice. So if you want to get the screen as red color, otherwise blue color. So you need to keep all these values as 0. This is 0. This is 255. So means red is 0, green is 0, blue. So so that moment, see if you run this code, what happened here? Try to understand. Let us see what happened here. So are you able to see anything here? Nothing. Okay. So if you want to, either you can keep black color, otherwise red color. Sorry, black color, otherwise white color. So whenever you keep all red, green, blue as 0 minimum values, you will get the screen black. So whenever you keep all the values 255, 255, okay. So now you change this. If you want to see, if you want to get block color here, you keep this red as 0. Okay, 0. Now you will get the screen as black color. Okay. So you will get the screen as black color. So this is simple adjustment. Okay, now come to the point. Where is that? By this line of code, we can understand that this is a draw is a module that is part of Pygame library. Rect is a function of draw module. Rect function will be used to draw this rectangle function that is part of your draw module. It will be used to draw the each and every segment of the snake on the screen. Screen is a variable. Okay. Understood that? Any doubt? Anybody has any doubt in the class? So we are trying to understand each and every line of command, every how from the starting. First of all, how the modules, otherwise libraries, which will be supporting, which will be supported our game. Our game is snake game. So it is a two-dimensional game. For that Pygame library imported. If it is not installed, that moment you need to go here and edit, view, tool windows. You need to go into tool windows, come to the terminal. Here, if Pygame is not installed, you need to go into the terminal. Here, you need to install the Pygame library with the help of the pip install manager. Pip install manager. Okay, understood that. So here you need to write pip install. If Pygame, if you are getting any problem, your Pygame library not installed. If you have seen any message like that, pip install Pygame. Okay, you need to then. So your Pygame will be installed because Pygame is a library which will be used to create the two-dimensional game applications. Okay. So like this. Okay. Now, then after what happened? These some modules I have imported and print command used here to find out that whether the Pygame time random, these are whether the libraries, otherwise modules. Next, to initialize the Pygame library, Pygame dot initialization command used here. Then after to set up what? Screen size. Okay, that is very important. Two variables they have been created with height, two variables assigned with the pixels 1000 means these are the size of your screen. Okay. Next, screen a variable created. So by this command, Pygame dot display is a module of Pygame. Okay. So if you want to know that display is what, whether it is part of your Pygame, you want to, if you have any confusion, remove this code here from simply keep your dot operator here. Okay. So here simply this C display. This is Pygame dot display. So display is a module of Pygame and that has a function set underscore mode. Okay, whenever you keep dot operator, so this display we need, and within this set underscore mode, it is a function. Set underscore, this is the set underscore mode is a function that will be used to set up the screen size. Already we have assigned the pixels for this width height variables. So this set underscore mode, we have passed for this function width height variables as a parameters, and width variable assigned with 1000 pixels, height assigned with 1000 pixels. Now set underscore mode is a function. By this line of and this time, this code, this from here to here, the total code stored in the screen variable. So screen is a variable. So every time wherever if I want to use, I can use this screen. Okay, I means that display can be called with a variable. If I want to refer in further, I want to refer the screen, so I don't need to call this code again and again. Just I will use this variable. So here we have used screen. Here I need not to write this much code. If I want to refer the screen, so I need to use this code. So it is a tedious job to represent this type of code in your. So rather than we can use a variable. If I want to refer in further my screens, this is my screen. This is total black color. It's my screen, which is having the size width is 1000 pixels, height is 1000 pixels. Now it is called screen. So for this screen, what this code written from here to here. Okay. So now this total code stored in a variable screen. In further, if I want to use that, if I want to use the screen, so no need to write all the code from here to here. So just I will refer screen word only, screen variable. Okay. So screen is what? this variable passed to this function. So this rect function that is part of your draw module is part of your Pygame library. So by this this rect function, what it does, it draws every segment of snake. Every segment means that is a square segment. Okay. So that will be displayed, that will be drawn on the screen. Okay. So next. So two functions I have explained in the previous class, the main function, message function, which created to display render. By render means it provides a message on the screen. Okay. Next, I told you that green is a variable which is holding the colors of the snake. Next, what? X0, X1. Next parameters are what? X0, X1, block underscore size. So the rectangle's position and size. Rectangle's position and size. Where is that rectangle? This is one rectangle. This is square. Means square. Mean it is also a rectangle. Okay. It is also a rectangle. So these X0, 1 by this block underscore size, these two variables, they define what the rectangle's position and size. Position and size. So X0 means X coordinate. X1 means Y coordinate. X1 means Y coordinate. Black underscore size, width and length of the square. Black underscore size means width and height of the square at X coordinates, Y coordinates. Okay. Next. So see what happened here. Now, if I change this value, see, first of all, see the screen, how it is looking, the squares. So if I change this as somewhat 3 and somewhat 8. So that moment, what happened? You run this code. So let us see what happened here. So error is there. See what error? Where is that error? You need to go into, see. So here in the debug, so here is the error. Why error is where? So see, so who will indicate these errors? I told you that every programming language has a translator program. Every programming language has a translator program. Every programming language has a translator program. So within this translator program, so that translator program, either it is a interpreter, other every language is either compiler based, other way translate. Here Python is a translator based program. Here translator, what it does, it will check the total code. If any error is there, it checks line by line code, and it gives the, if any error is there in the code. So here error is where please see at line 101 means at this code. Where is that? Draw underscore. Okay. Here. Okay. This is what these values are not accepted. List index error, list index out of range. So what we need to do, we need to change these values as 0, 1. That moment. Let us see, now run this code. So you are looking very nice. Now if I want to change this as 1 and it is as 2, that moment what happened? X coordinate 1, Y coordinate 2. So that moment, what happens? Let us run this code. So are you getting? So still it is the list index out of range. You are getting index error. You are getting index error. So always you need to represent this as 0 and this is as 1. So if I want to change this interchange, yes, this is 1 and this is 0. So what happens here? Let us run this code. Let us run this code. What happened here? Let us see. Now, what happened here? Is there any changement here? Somewhat changement, because see the coordinates of the snake and this is the feed. Just I have interchanged x coordinate as 1 and y coordinate 0. So here at top extreme left corner snake is here and just bottom of that your feed is here. So if I want to simply interchange this is as 0 and this is 1. So now run this code. Okay, that moment let us see what happened here. Anything? There is any changement? There's no any changement. I have not found any changement. So this is what x coordinate, this is y coordinate. Understood that under this code from here to here up to here. This is the total code. This code, what it does, rectangular, it is a function of this draw module. This part of your Pygame library, this rectangle function draws. What it draws the each square segment on the screen with green color. Okay, understood that. Next, come to the next function. This is the next function, game loop, one more function. How many functions we have we tried to understood up to now? How many functions? One is the starting function, message, to create a message on to display a message on the screen. So by this function, another function to draw snake segments on the screen. Okay. Snake segments means snake square segments. Okay. For loop used here to loop through each and every snake segment. Okay. To draw the snake segment on the screen with green color. So next one more function, game loop function. Game loop function. So one thing I want to explain, snake underscore list. What do you mean of this? Suppose if snake underscore list equal to 1000, 100, list means what, list is snake positions, a pair of positions. First coordinate is what? 100. That is a list, one pair of coordinates. Next pair of coordinates 90, 100. Third pair of coordinates 80, 100. That moment block size is equal to 10. So that moment what happened? This function, it draw three green squares side by side horizontally. Side by side horizontally. Okay. So representing a snake. Representing a snake. Understood that? Snake underscore list. Don't worry. Snake underscore list. Here, see your snake underscore list. It is empty. Okay, it is empty. Because I have not defined any values here. If I will define this list with the values with three lists, like what see 100, comma 100. This is one list, list within list. List. So one list is this, and another list is what that is if I want to write one more list. So this is one more list. Now, okay. I want to create how many lists here? Three lists. Okay, two lists. Leave it the two list here. Okay. Now what happened here? Try to understand. Initially, I kept the snake underscore list as empty. That's why I am seeing, so snake is only one square segment. Every time I am able to see only one square segment. But if whenever the list snake underscore list is having two more lists, okay, lists, one list, this is one list, means this is another list. That moment what happened? So you will be able to see how many, so that moment block size I have kept. Where is that block size is what? This is the block size 20 pixels. Huh? So that moment what happened, try to understand the function. What function? That rect function will draw three green squares by side. But here two lists I have passed, so two squares. So it will draw rect function. Where is that rect function? This rect function draws the squares on the screen with green color. Okay, two squares, two green squares will be drawn side by side horizontally. Okay, understood that. So every square represents a snake. If you run this code, so how many? Okay. So as the game started, it is being pitched. Game is over. You are getting this much. Why? Because see what happened here. That moment you are able to see how many squares? Two squares side by side. Two squares side by side. Huh? Two squares side. If I want to get three squares side by side, one more list I need to pass. One more list 100 comma 100. So now three lists I have passed. So three square segments will be displayed on the screen side by side, which will indicate each list indicate one snake. Okay. So let us try to understand here. Where is that? What happened here? Now I need to run see here. So how many? So three snake segments. Three snake segments. Okay. Three lists. Okay. So what is the meaning of this list? Snake underscore list. It's a variable. Snake underscore length is a variable. Snake underscore list is a variable. So this variable passed as a parameter. As a parameter for which function? This draw underscore snake function. The block size and snake underscore list variable passed as parameters. So snake underscore list, what is the meaning of this snake underscore list? It is a list which will have all the positions of the snake over the screen. Okay, snake underscore list. So I told you that in the previous just before that, what is the use of snake underscore list? A list of positions, means xy coordinates, where each part of the snake is located. Okay, now, so if I have kept three lists, that moment what happened here, I told you that if I kept snake underscore list is empty, so only one square Okay, only one which function, rect function will draw only one green square, okay, horizontally. So that every green square represents a snake. So here three lists I have provided means every list have some word values. So three snakes will be displayed on the screen side by side, side by side. Three squares. Every square represents a snake. So now I want to remove, I want to keep it as a empty list. I want to keep it as a empty list. Okay. Now run this code. Now that moment, what happened? You try, you see. So see. So here only one square that represents a snake. Just before that, we have assigned three lists with values. So three squares will be displayed beside of each square horizontally. Okay. So that is the here I have kept it is very what empty list here. Next. So today I tried to brief this function draw underscore snake function. Every variable I have briefed and what is the use of this for loop and what is the use of this rect function and the rect function how it draws the snakes square segments on the screen with the green color with the XY coordinates. This is the X coordinate. This is the Y coordinate. I have explained. Then after game loop, this is the main function which will be used here. Main function. That is the main function. What is the role of this main function? That is the main function. That is the main function. This is the main game loop. Okay. This is the main function where the entire game runs. Okay. This is the main function. Under this, the total entire game runs. So within this, two variables declared with values false, false. These two are false, false are Boolean values. Already you have studied about the Boolean data in Boolean data types in Python. So by this game underscore over, it this by this command, it stops the game, stops the program, means game. By this command, it shows the game over screen but allows to restart. Okay. So what about this x1 variable, y1 variable, x1 underscore change, y1 underscore change? These are four variables. X1, y1, x1 underscore change, y1 underscore change. By this, snake starts from the middle of the screen. Snake starts from the middle of the screen. But we have changed the values so that there the snake which is not being started at the center of the screen. Okay, it is somewhere else. So if you want to keep them at the center of the screen, so 2 by 2, what happened that moment? It is 2 by 2. So you will get the snake will be displayed 2 by 2 means that moment what happened, that snake position will be shown initially at center of the screen, center of the snake position, not feed position. Okay, feed position will be kept on the screen randomly. Okay, because random by the help of the random module. So snake position will be kept at the center by this command. Okay. That is called initial snake position. You can comment here, initial snake position. Initial snake initial snake position. Okay. Next. So as I told you that this is the main game loop function. The main function by that entire game will be run under this some variables to set up the initial snake position, snake underscore list, empty kept as empty list, empty list. Okay. What do you mean of empty list means? So if I have passed three lists or two lists, so three squares will be displayed on the screen side by side horizontally. Just I have shown a practical example. Okay, understood that. Next. So x1 underscore change, y1 underscore change determines the direction of movement. X1 underscore change, y1 underscore change determines the direction of movement. I have kept 0, 0. So if I change them as values, that moment, what happens, see here, 5, 8. So now run this code. So what happened here, try to see. So automatically it is moving. It is moving without I am not doing anything on the screen because of the game. It is to be the game, it is to be played by the player. But without moving my arrow keys, up down arrow keys, the game automatically it is running. So the snake is moving automatically running over the screen without moving of arrow keys, up down arrow keys on the screen. Understood that? That's why, what do you mean of this? Where is that? X1 underscore cheese, the movement of the snake on the screen. So initially, if I have kept a 0, 0 means what x1 underscore change means that movement of the snake on the screen with x and y coordinate with respect of x and y coordinates 0. There is no any movement. So that moment what happened? So it is moving automatically because that moment I have assigned somewhat values for that variable. So now whenever I change their values to 0, 0 there's no any movement. So now you run this code. So now snake is not moving. Understood that? So that is what it is indicating what your snake is not moving, okay, with the coordinates. So x1 underscore change, y1 underscore change, they determine the direction of movement. Direction of movement, okay? So if I have sent 0, 0, there is no any direction of movement of the snake. Next, snake list. Okay, that is I have explained here. List of coordinates for each part of the snake. So snake list, it represents what? Snake list represents what? List of coordinates for each part of the snake. Starts with length 1. Start snake underscore length starts with length 1. If I change this as length 10, so that moment what happens? See. So because length of so every time, so that length you need to keep it as okay, length 1, snake length 1. So that moment what happens? See here, run this code. So until unless you will not move the snake with your up and down arrow keys, left, right arrow keys, it will not move. Because snake movement direction you kept as 0. There's no any movement over x coordinates and y coordinates. Movement is 0. and length is kept as 1. Okay. These snake underscore list, snake underscore length, x1, y1, x1 underscore change, y1, these are variables. Okay. Game underscore over, game underscore close variables. Here, text is a variable. Okay. Screen is a variable. Screen I have defined here. These colors, black, green, red are variables. Screen is a variable. This variable holds the total code of your display. Okay. And this code will be used to set the caption of the game. Understood that? This code provides a message. Render function that is part of your render function is part of your font module. Okay. So this render function provides a message on the screen. So blit function, I had told you that what is the use of this blit function. Blit function is the part of your screen. Okay. So the blit function is used to draw the snake. So next command. So we need to understand a lot of how many functions. Draw function. Okay, main go game loop function we studied. Game states. Okay, game states are what? How to stop the game, how to close the game. These two states, game states. Okay, game over stops the game. Game underscore close shows game over, but we can start the game again. So initial stake position. Okay. Initially, the snake will be kept at center of the screen without any movement of the direction. So next is what? List of coordinates. Snake underscore list. It has the list of coordinates for each part of the snake. Starts with length 1. List of snake. Initially, it is empty. As it is moving, no, its coordinates will be stored in this list. As this snake moving, for every movement, coordinates are there. X1 horizontal and vertical coordinates. They will be stored in this empty list. Okay. Next, food X, food position. Where is food? Food represents this red rectangle, red square represents food. Green represents snake. So for food position, where the position of the food, where is food X is equal, food X is a variable. Food means X means food along with X coordinate, food along with Y coordinates. So round is a module. Already we have imported a module. We have imported along with our random module. Okay. So round, let us see what is the role of round. A round is not a module, it is a function. So how can I say that a function? Because whenever the brackets are there, so we can simply say that, let us see whether round is a module, otherwise function. I will simply explain. So first of all, round is what? Let me explain what is round. Because what this is what rand range is a function, and that rand range is part of random. Okay. So let us see whenever I keep dot here. So rand range is a variable. So rand range is a variable that is part of your random. Random is what? Our module. Random, I have imported random is a module. Okay. So random module has somewhat variables. Random module has somewhat random module has variable. So which variable I want to use here? Whenever you keep dot operator, rand range is a variable. So that rand range variable, V means variables, C means class. Okay, F means function, and M means method. Understood that? So rand range is a variable of random module. And what is round? We need to understand what is round. So how to set the food along with the along with what? This is the food position. Food position. So food position. Okay. So next on Sunday class, I will explain food position, while loop. Okay. This for loop, why it is used. And again, one these all if else statements. So I will explain the rest of the code in the next Sunday class. Means today is 31st May and tomorrow is what? 1st June. So 1st June Sunday, I will explain rest of the code. So okay. So because of this is almost 1 hour 40, 9:40. I started the class at what time? I have started the class at 8:30, I think. 1 hour 10 minutes class. So now I want to take break. Okay. I will explain the later rest of the code on Sunday. This much of code we have started from here, from here. Suppose if this game, Pygame, so we can add some more extra features for this game, means somewhat music. Okay, we can add that is we will add at the end of the class. So how from the starting code, how the modules and library which are need for the game, you how you need to import them. If Pygame is not installed, you need to go into the terminal, and with the pip install manager, you need to install Pygame. Pygame is a library, two-dimensional library to support the gaming applications, not for three-dimensional gaming applications. Okay, first that separate you need to import another module, three-dimensional module. I think Kiwi, KIVY. Okay, let us see. Okay, next. And then initialization of the Pygame and set up the screen with pixels, caption setups, mode. We okay, set up of the screen. This is and color settlement, RGB tuple with the help of okay, and then pixels of the every segment of the snake, every square segment, how many block size, okay, and speed, how many frames per second, font, which type of font you want to, you will be able to see on the screen whenever it hits the edge of the screen. So one message will be screen display on the screen. This message, the font size of this. So default 35, but I have increased it. Okay. So clock. Clock is what? This is a clock. It is part of your, this is a function that is Pygame has library that has a module, time module. Time module has a clock class. Class has a tick function. What is the tick function? You can use tick function here. This is the tick function, otherwise method. Okay. So if you use this one, otherwise you can use, otherwise there is no need to use, there is no any problem. Okay, but I am getting error here. Whenever I want to use tick mod method here, I'm getting error. So type error unbound method clock tick needs an argument. So because of here, whenever I have used that argument tick function here, so it needs tick function. This tick function is part of your clock class. Clock class is part of your time module. Time module. Initially, I told you the time is a module. I have imported random before this time module, which will be used for delays. Delays, okay? Any delay if you need. So I have used a tick function. So it needs an argument, means I need to pass somewhat value. Okay. So here I need to keep somewhat value. So unbound method, Pygame, where is the error? Here, it is underlining. So interpreter, it will help a lot while writing the code. It is mentioning, it is underlining here. So under this way, this is where you are getting the error. So I don't need, while game is running very well. So why do I need to keep finger into this code? So now, whenever you run this code, you will get the code will be run very nice. Okay, efficient. You are getting this. So why? But I want to explain this. What Pygame is a library. It has a module time. Time has a class. Clock is a class. Clock has a tick method. By that method, the snake, how many frames, speed of the speed of the snake will be controlled. So as frames per second. Okay. By the tick func method, speed of the snake will be controlled by the method. Okay. So I will explain rest of the code functions, message function I have explained draw snake, how the snake draw will be drawn on the screen, main loop function. Okay, up to here. Within this function, main loop, food position I need to explain. Then while loop I will explain tomorrow in Sunday class. Okay, now so class is over. Thank you. Jai Hind.